For background, I, 22, am very petite, fit, and just by looking at me, one would not guess I have a physical disability. 2 weeks ago, I had surgery with incisions on my spine and one butt cheek, making walking more difficult temporarily. Though, I have a handicap placard not just because I had surgery, but for the overall problem that me to be unable to walk long distances. I'm not asking am I the idiot for refusing to give up my spot, but because of what I said. My brother thinks I went too far, but I think I afforded the woman the same amount of respect she gave me. I was going out to dinner with my brother, passenger seat. I pulled into one of 4 handicap spots in front of a restaurant, and the woman, late 60s, in the car to my right, immediately opened her door to block my brother from getting out. We waited a few seconds, and it became clear this was intentional. I got out of the car and asked her if she would close her door. The woman immediately started berating me, saying I had no right to use the handicap spot as other people that actually need it would be unable to park. Apparently, I am young and skinny enough to swallow it up, though she doesn't know what my disability is and deal with parking far away. She called me an entitled brat and accused me of tricking the government to support my lazy back, among other things. I told her a doctor saw fit I get a handicap placard, and when she said I look fine, I told her that my medical history is none of her business. She continued to insult me, even calling me a lazy idiot at one point, and refused to close her door. I eventually had enough and let her have it. I told her something along the lines of, maybe if you didn't eat yourself into debilitating obesity, others that actually need it would be able to use your spot. She tried to respond by saying her weight was due to medical issues, to which I cut her off to say if she's going to make assumptions about me, I will do the same. I called her a miserable old bitter idiot and told her at her big old age, she should have learned to mind her business. She threatened to call the police on me for reasons she was unable to verbalize, and I told her to go ahead and pointed to the restaurant we were going to and told her to send them in. When my brother heard this, he finally crawled out of the driver's side. He said something like calm down and let's go inside, and I said that sounds like a great idea if the nosy idiot will leave us alone, but she seems too big to follow up with the police and bring them inside. Then we walked away with her still yelling things at me with her door open. She either didn't call the police or they refused to come. I know what I said was harsh, but I'm pretty tired of people making assumptions about my pain and telling me about my pain. Maybe I should regret it, but I don't have an ounce of remorse for what I said. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. She clearly screws and shouldn't have done any of the things she did. You were in the clear until you started attacking her lifestyle. Being angry, yelling at her, saying she were an idiot, totally okay. But using society's biases to hurt her wasn't great. Just because a member of a certain group is acting badly, it's not okay to start hurling specific slurs about that group of people. It doesn't help the situation and it doesn't help society. Everyone's the idiot here. We deal with this as well. My daughter has had a handicap permit since she was 8. She looks perfectly healthy, but has a disease that causes lots of debilitating symptoms including arthritis. People gave us so much crap when we parked that I started fake limping out of the car so she wouldn't be embarrassed when confronted, which happened more than once. So, I get it. You're not the idiot for fighting back, but you are an idiot for the ageism. Stooping to that level isn't a good look, nor is it effective. Not the idiot. I have an invisible physical disability as well. I've been lucky enough not to have to deal with anyone like this the few times I've used my placard so far, but I've sure heard enough stories about them that they absolutely need to be loudly and publicly shown that their childish behavior is not acceptable. You handled it perfectly in my opinion. You threw the assumption she was making about you right back at her, and it completely shut her down. My girlfriend and I have been dating for 4 years, engaged for 1, and our wedding is in a month, using a friend's backyard. We started dating right when I got my dog Shelly from the pound, and we've all been together ever since. I got really into training Shelly and she's super well behaved, knows all sorts of cool tricks, and I thought it would be funny and memorable if she was the ring bearer for our wedding ceremony. I got her this funny dog t-shirt to wear. I've been working with her on holding the ring basket and I think it's going to be great. The issue is this. Our families are both thrilled about our wedding, including the kids on both sides. One of them is my girlfriend's nephew, 10. The other day we were over at my girlfriend's sister's house for a barbecue when her sister came up to us with a nephew alongside, saying he wanted to ask us something. We kneeled down, and he kind of quietly asked if he could be the ring bearer for the wedding. I think he's been looking for something to do since we've been trying to save money, and everyone on both sides has been helping us, so I'm pretty sure it's not just something his mom put him up to. Anyways, my girlfriend and I both thought it was really sweet, but we told him that we already had someone picked out for the role and offered to let him help in another way. He said okay, but he definitely looked like he was about to cry. Later, my girlfriend was talking to her sister and under some pretty direct questioning, let her know that our dog was going to be the ring bearer. Things got pretty uncomfortable. There was no shouting or anything, but we both could tell her sister and her sister's husband were pissed, so we left. My girlfriend and I are both thinking about how to solve this. We are both on board with having the dog be the ring bearer. It's our wedding, it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and surprisingly no one else in the family seems to have a problem with it now that they know. But I don't want to cause any rifts over what's such a minor thing, and it's kind of a small thing to sacrifice to smooth things over with a family, and it's not like Shelly is going to care. In the end, I think I want to go with Shelly though. Am I the idiot for choosing my dog over my future nephew? Hard not the idiot. It's your wedding. It makes me so angry how entitled people feel to take part at other people's weddings. It makes me dread planning my own. I also want my dogs in mine and my BF's wedding, so I totally understand how cute and fun it sounds for you and your fiancé. Maybe Shelly won't care, but you sure do, and it's your special day. However, if you want to keep the peace, and it sounds like you do, maybe nephew can have the job of walking Shelly down the aisle. No idiots here, though leaning towards you are the idiot a tiny bit. People are being so mean to this poor kid. He was excited to be part of this because he loves you. It got awkward because to his parents it seems like you're choosing the dog over their kid. No one threw a tantrum or anything, it's okay if they're disappointed. It is so our wedding and obviously, you can do what you want, but I think the nice thing to do would include your nephew, as it doesn't seem like you're opposed to him being involved. Not the idiot. Unfortunately, dealing with family drama at your own wedding is sometimes inevitable. Whether it's choosing a ring bearer or the best man, family can be very opinionated on the topic. The thing to keep in mind is that this is your wedding first and foremost. If you want your doggo to walk the rings down, that's your right. I'm not sure if this is an option, but have you thought about having your dog and nephew both walk down the aisle? It might save some headaches in the coming month. Here's the story. My neighbor is a really sweet old woman. She still drives around and does errands, although I have no clue how since she has horrible eyesight. Whenever her kids come and visit, usually once a month, I share my concerns. Their typical response is thanks. She's okay. We're monitoring the situation. They're really not. She drives down the block sometimes, and I really fear for the kids walking across the street. There have been some very close calls on the block, and other neighbors have spoken up to her and her kids. Nothing doing. The worst is when she rolls her window down and chats with us as she drives, since she's completely oblivious to anything in front of her, but she still tries to chat with everyone because she's friendly. So, here's what happened. 2 days ago I was sitting outside and she pulls up in her RAV4. She rolls the window down and asks how I'm doing. I noticed that even though she was only driving really slowly, she thought her garage door was open. It was not. I chose to not notice and she promptly drove straight into her garage door. She actually got startled and hit the gas pedal, really wrecking her car and presumably the inside of her garage. Of course, the police came along with her kids. I chose to stay inside so it wouldn't seem like I was saying I told you so. Anyway, it turns out she is almost legally blind and the police told her she should not be driving, and I think they're revoking her license or something. Am I the idiot for not warning her? On the one hand, it could have been a kid and instead, it was just her property. On the flip side, why am I playing God? My grandfather was way past not being able to drive. Hit numerous curbs, parts of car were dented. Almost ran my off the road when I pulled up next to him and waved. After trying to reason with him, my dad and my uncle went to their assisted living one night with their spare key and took the car before he killed someone. They got pulled over when they left as one of their neighbors saw 2 suspicious young men steal my grandfather's car. They were 58 and 56 respectively. Once the police found out why they took it, he let them go. Grandfather was pissed, but they probably saved lives. Everyone's the idiot here. You are not responsible for her decisions or her driving, but you literally mention you chose to not say anything, meaning you anticipated this and did nothing. She was also clearly an idiot for putting herself and others in danger by ignoring the obvious fact that her vision was too poor to drive safely. I do not think that idiot qualities are utilitarian. We should not say, what you did was okay because the end result was positive. What if she had injured herself when she went into the garage? Not the idiot. She's lucky all she crashed into was her garage. A couple months ago, I was driving down a 55 miles per hour country road at about 10 p.m. It was dark and the roads were wet. I had a green light, so I went to go through the intersection. The other car decides to not yield and turn left when I'm almost to the light. I managed to slow down to about 30 miles per hour, but we collide, no injuries thank goodness. Turns out this lady is like 85. She got faulted and had to pay for my damages and hers. Background here. I am a 16-year-old born with China parents and a China-born sister who is 23 now. My parents migrated overseas to where we live now with my sister and had me completely born in an English-speaking environment. I can speak Mandarin, but usually only at home, and I study in a school with English as first language. We went to my father's hometown in Sichuan Chengdu last month and were welcomed by our grandparents, who threw a big reunion party with my uncle's aunts and cousins, about 20 plus people. They speak in Sichuan dialect as their mother tongue, but are able to understand and speak Mandarin too. While my parents, obviously, and sister, able to understand but can only speak Mandarin, are comfortable with it, I have trouble understanding the dialect. I tried to ask an uncle speaking to me to speak Mandarin, but was responded with laughter. The other relatives also seemed to enjoy my confusion. That uncle, using Mandarin, told me that I am a banana who has forgotten her roots before turning back to dialect. My parents told me not to act selfishly and expect everyone to change for me. It was awkward and frustrating to be the only one in a house of strangers, yups, relatives but strangers, who had no idea what others were saying. Since they were comfortable, I figured I might as well as make myself comfortable too. When an aunt came to speak to me again, I responded in English, this time enjoying her confused face. Even though I had no idea what they were talking about, I spoke English throughout the rest of the party. I had an earful from my parents after that. They said that I was disrespectful and a walking form of embarrassment, and because of me, they got scolded from my grandparents for teaching me to behave this way. My sister, secretly, supported me though, saying they had what was coming for teasing me like that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm a banana too. I used to be able to speak Thai reasonably well. Well enough to speak to my relatives that I visit every few years. Now that I've moved out, I've forgotten most of it. I can still understand a fair bit, but I usually respond in English. If your parents wanted you to understand, they would have taught you. It's not fair to blame you. I do feel guilty I've forgotten most of my ancestors' language. I want to learn it again, but I'm a bit scared and feel like I don't have the time. In American culture, not the idiot, you're respected as an individual despite your age and your place in the family heredity. In Chinese culture, you are the idiot because respect goes with age and heredity in the family, and as a young child, you're expected to act with certain level of deference toward your elders. So in the situation where your uncle laughed at you, culturally you're expected to take it and accept it being the butt of the joke, hence your parents telling you you're being selfish when you get upset. Not the idiot. I'm Taiwanese and I can see this sort of crap playing out. I'd probably do the same thing you did if I were in your shoes. However, we're also basing your non-idiotness on Western standards. In Chinese culture, you are still going to be seen as an idiot because filial piety is held so highly in Eastern cultures. It's not fair, but it's reality. Just ignore them and shrug your shoulders when they ask you something in their dialect. There's nothing you can really do to not be the idiot with your extended relatives. So one of my best friends loves to cook. She makes these elaborate dishes, and she really puts her heart and soul into it, which is great for a hobby, and myself and all her friends always supported this hobby completely. The thing is, her cooking never exactly tasted very good. In fact, it was kind of awful. I'm convinced she's actually not able to really taste food as well as she thinks she is. She has a severely deviated septum and has been known to have an impaired sense of smell. I thought maybe I just had an unsophisticated palate because my friend seemed to really enjoy her cooking. Everyone always complimented her and ate her food with a smile, and if something to do with food came up said you should ask her, she's the chef of the group, she cooks all the time. So I always wondered if everyone else was just being nice like I was, but didn't care, as long as my friend was happy. 2 weeks ago she invited us all to a big dinner and announced she was quitting her high-powered job with benefits to strike out on her own as a caterer. She has 2 kids and is the sole provider of the home. Afterwards we talked separately, without her present, the rest of us friends, and someone kind of uneasily said, "So, Trisha's becoming a caterer, huh? Not real name." And basically after beating around the bush for a bit, it came out that we all felt she was making a huge mistake and was not a good cook. We talked for a while and were starkly divided over whether or not we should say something in case it wasn't too late to get her job back and not spend too much more money on launching a catering business. Half of us thought we had to speak up, the other half thought her mind was made up and doubting her would only make her resolve to prove us wrong. So I was with her yesterday and she was talking about how she'd spent a significant portion of her savings and was now considering taking out a second mortgage on her home to kickstart this catering business. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea it would require this much money of her. So, thinking of what I would want if the tables were turned, I sat down and explained we were trying to be supportive when it was a hobby, but it was not restaurant quality food and she should not take a financial risk for it. She listened silently, then firmly asked me to leave. I haven't heard anything from her or my friend since. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. You guys have been lying to her for a long time. You may have done it to be kind, but it has had real-life consequences. You built her up to believe she was good at this. She spent a significant portion of her savings. You betrayed her trust, and a person does not just get past that. You and your friends owe her an apology. Have you tried contacting your friends to talk through how to move forward with them? She screws only in that she didn't plan this well. Not the idiot. Your friend is not only being ignorant, she is, as you said, staking her family's financial safety on this venture. Even more so than would be normal, considering she's the household's sole breadwinner. You told her nothing her future customers won't tell her, except you were probably far kinder about it than they will be. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do now but watch her fail. Frankly speaking, if she was even slightly business savvy, she wouldn't be dipping into her savings or taking out a second mortgage to fund this business. No idiots here for telling her about not being good enough. But I do want to say everyone's the idiot here, but your friend for lying to her this whole time. I suspect that the biggest pain here is that she has been lied to for God knows how long by people she trusted. She asked for feedback, and everyone built up this whole fantasy in her head, and now she feels that her dreams are crushed because her closest friends lied. We've all watched Pop Idol and X Factor and wonder how some of those numpties end up making a fool of themselves on there.